Welcome, everyone, to the From the Shadows podcast. I'm your host, Shane Grove, and with me is the super producer, Jason.
Greetings, everyone.
How's it going today, Jason?
I'm doing pretty good. And yourself?
Just glad to be here, man. I'm just glad to be here. If our paranormal listeners don't, some of them don't listen to the Midweek Howl, which is a shame. I think everybody should listen to the Midweek Howl because you're missing out. You'll probably know then I'm a little happy because I'm under the 5-year countdown clock to retirement. So every day, Jason, is one day closer. Just letting you know.
I'm jealous. I'm just letting you know.
And trust me, when that day comes, I will call you or come stand outside the window of your office, and I will make fun of you for being in there working. So
and then I'm going to send Mickey Skidova out there and say we have a person that's creating a ruckus.
Ooh, okay. And for those of our listeners who don't know Mickey Skidova, he's a good friend of ours. Look him up. He's the one man that Chuck Norris said he did not want to fight. That's on tape.
Yep.
Our friend Mickey Skidova is the one man back in the day Chuck Norris did not want to fight. So That's just a little. Boy, we really went off the rails here.
Yes, we did. Let's bring it back on the center. You're going to love our guest tonight.
All right. Well, I want to remind everybody that if you have an encounter or an experience you want to share with us, you can find us on Facebook at the From the Shadows podcast Facebook page, or our forum page, After the Shadows. You can find me at Shane Grove Author on Instagram, our From the Shadows podcast Instagram page, or just go to our website, From the Shadows podcast, hit the contact button, send us an email. We've been getting some really good emails, and we just enjoy hearing from everybody. And of course, if you have something you want to share, we do want to talk to you and have you on. Our guests love hearing everybody else's experience. Our listeners love hearing experiences by our guests. So
yes, indeed.
Yeah, it's great. And I've been talking to some people who have been reluctant because they haven't told their stories in years. And I think the common denominator is that if you can come on and share your experience, how little or insignificant you think it is, there's somebody else out there that probably has had a similar experience who also feels like their experience is maybe insignificant, and it'll help them feel better about themselves, and maybe they'll share it. And any information about the paranormal that we can add to the pile helps paint the picture a little bit.
This is how we get answers.
Clearer.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we do want to remind everybody, if you do love the show, share an episode with your friend. We dare you. Right? A double dog dare you.
Double dog dare you. Share an episode with a friend. And if you really want to get them going, gig them a little bit, go to Apple Podcast and leave us a 5-star review. That'll get them.
That'll get them. Oh, geez. Okay. Enough of our nonsense.
Absolutely.
So our guest, and like I said, all those ways you can contact us. Our guest tonight is a gentleman that I have kind of an Instagram relationship with. He kind of shares a lot of his experiences that up until a week ago, some crazy stuff is happening. And so it just got to the point where it's like, he finally said, I think I want to come on and share my experiences. So I'm super stoked to welcome Jay to the program. Jay, welcome to the From the Shadows podcast.
Hello, how's it going?
Pretty good, Jay. I'm glad to have you on the show, buddy.
Thank you.
Yes, we're super glad to have you on the show. So Jay, I know you've had a lifetime of some pretty cool events, experiences. I don't know what you want to call them. And I've kind of told Jason about some of them a little bit, but let's just get into it. Let's start from where you're from and when some of this stuff started happening, and let's let's just hear some of this cool stuff.
Sure. Yeah. I'm from Ontario originally, just a couple hours north of Toronto, Georgian Bay on Lake Huron. Grew up in the country. Do you want me to do this chronologically?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So first kind of experience, like I remember being deathly afraid of gorillas. I wouldn't want to touch my floor. I thought they were under my bed. I had a big window in my room. I always had to have the blinds closed. And down in our basement, I would always run by the windows. Thought I saw a face peered in one time. It put the fear in me, and I would sneak under the windows, like low to the ground. And I remember doing this for a long time. So that's the beginning of all this.
So now do you think, looking back, that fear of gorillas was you saw a Bigfoot looking in the window?
Like suppressed memories. I'm pretty sure I saw a face that wasn't quite human. Like I said, I wouldn't go to bed I would have the window open, but the blinds were always shut. I just had that fear growing up. I can't really explain it. And like I said, the one time I remember it looked like I had faces looking in the window, or a face. And that was quite bizarre. And the only thing I could associate it with was gorillas, right?
Of course, yeah.
Right. So that was it. Like, that was the start. And I probably would have been about 6 or 7 years old when that happened. Also, ironically, outside of that window is where I remember levitating time. We lived in the country. We didn't have cable. We had the old aerials that were attached to your house. They had like a ladder that you could climb. I remember floating in the air and grabbing that aerial and being able to climb back down and running into the house. And that would have been right, the windows I'm talking about running by were right where that aerial was. So could have been that part of the house. I don't know. Something strange, right?
So you were outside?
Yeah, playing in the backyard. And like, I know it's not a dream. I distinctly remember like floating in the air and being able to reach out, grab that aerial, and pull myself to it, or just attach myself and climb back down, and went inside for the rest of the day. Like, kind of freaky.
So
I don't remember seeing anything in the air, like, at that time, I should say. But yeah, that was the start. And I would have been around the same age as when I had this fear of the gorillas or gorilla men or whatever.
So these, like, so before we go any further, are these things, like, are you telling your parents about these things, or are these things you're just keeping to yourself because you have no idea what you're experiencing?
To be honest, I don't think I did tell my parents about it. It happened so long ago, I can't remember. But probably I didn't. Like, I would have kept it to myself.
Wow,
like,
okay.
I would have gotten shit because they would have thought I was climbing the aerial to get on the roof of the house. Right? So
okay.
That could be part of the reason why I kept it to myself.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry about swearing there.
No, that's all right.
Okay. Yeah. And then I remember my parents waking me up one night and asking if I wanted to see a UFO. there was a light in the backyard. I mean, it was present. My dad even called the police, and they basically made fun of him on the phone. I remember that. That was the first UFO I saw. I saw a couple of strange anomalies in the sky there. Like Georgian Bay is, I mean, I don't know if it's well known, but there is a few accounts of UFOs in the area. Right.
So what did you guys like? Was it you just saw a light, or did you see something moving?
It was an orange light that was bobbing. Like we lived in the country on a small like type hobby farm surrounded by like 40 acres of woods, and we could see the light through the woods. Like I said, my dad even called the police to tell them about it, and like I said, they kind of blew it off, like he'd been drinking or something like that.
Jeez, yeah, because odds are they probably knew there was something out there and they didn't want to go. They didn't want to go looking.
It's possible,
especially if it's from that area where there's stuff that's known to happen.
Yeah, I mean, one of the water serpents they talk about is from like the Georgian Bay area. I can't remember the name of it. It's like a Nessie kind of thing. Like Lake Huron's a huge lake. It's somewhere on Lake Huron. It's like a serpent or some sea snake or something. I can't recall the name of it.
No cop would want to be the cop that has to go out on a call and actually find that sea serpent. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I'm just telling you about I didn't see any of that stuff. I just like the area is pretty rich with those historical accounts, right?
Okay.
I just want to know, did you guys get mad at the real estate agent for not telling you there was a portal in the backyard?
I don't know.
because this just yeah.
I don't think I've ever talked to them about it since, like, to be honest. But getting on one of my next encounters, I lived in a place that had ghost activity, and like nothing would happen. I lived there by myself, and nothing would ever happen when I was alone. But when I had guests over, that's when the strange stuff would occur. So I actually have witnesses to back me up on everything that was happening with that.
So now you're a little bit older then.
Yeah, now I'm like, I moved out. I was like 18, 19. 19, I think. I had just gotten back from South Korea. I'd went and taught English in South Korea for a little bit. Had a girlfriend over there teaching, and went to visit and wound up staying for a while.
So what kind of stuff then happened, ghost-wise?
Ghost-wise, it was like I had the suspicion it was a kid, because like toys would go missing, stuff that was low, like under 4 feet. I had CDs shoot out from my stereo cabinet, and this is when I had people over, like unexplainable stuff. We'd played euchre. I don't know if you've ever played that card game.
Oh yeah.
We played euchre there quite a bit, and we went to get a bite to eat one time, came back, and the cards were missing. And I didn't find them until I had a pull-out couch in there, and pulled it open one day, and the cards were like in at the feet of the pull-out couch. Like impossible for them to fall into the cushions and to get into that spot unless you unfolded. It was one of the ones that folded in half, and then you had to fold out the foot of the mattress.
Yeah,
and it was in there.
Yeah, there's no way they could have just fell in there. That's for sure.
No. Like 100%. And I didn't find that for a while. Like, we got back and the cards were gone. Like, the game was over.
Now, were you winning or losing when you left? Because
Probably winning.
See, so we have to take this one with a grain of salt, because the losers could have easily said, we're hiding these cards.
Yeah. No, we'd all left, and the access, like, I didn't pay for this place. I worked in a bar that had a couple apartments they weren't able to rent, and so they let us derelicts stay there once in a while. And I happened to move in for about a year. So, and we had lots of activity at the actual bar. We had like, those shelves that you hang wine glasses on.
Yeah.
Above the bar, we had like rows of wine glasses just shoot out, smash on the ground. And this stuff usually happened before we had people in there, or after. If it was just the staff sitting around, just weird noises. A friend of mine had done some electrical work in there and found some live wires that were in the ceiling that weren't attached to any electrical panel. Like, it was an old building, and it had its ghosts. For real.
It had a couple just live wires.
Yeah, he said he tested them, and they showed they were alive, and they were just laying in the ceiling. And when he traced them back, they weren't actually attached to any panels or anything. Like,
oh my gosh! Now that's kind of crazy.
It is kind of crazy. I know. It's like, I'm an elevator guy myself and deal with electricity, and it's unexplainable. He was a Red Seal electrician and said they were live wires. Like, I don't know if he had a tester or caught a rip off one. I don't know.
Now, did you guys ever do any research and see if something happened at that place to have so much activity?
I'd heard that someone had fallen in the staircase that led up to my place and died. This is like really going to tell where I was. We had an off-duty police officer shot in the back of the head there one night. While he was in there having drinks. That happened. That was during the time I was working there.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy. Wow.
Yeah, it is crazy. It like, I grew up in this small town. We had our own town police, and it affected everyone that knew him.
I'm sure. Yeah.
He was a hockey coach, just well known in the community. Super nice guy, and someone took his life one night.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. That might you hate to say that, but that might explain some of the energy.
Yeah,
it's like that ghost or whatever it is. It's almost like a poltergeist. I mean, the things that was moving things and all that. Yeah.
Like I said, like I had my mom and brother over one time. My mom hadn't seen this apartment, and I had magnets like flying off my fridge. I know magnets can lose their magnetic strength, but not to have them like sliding down. And it happened more than once, and all dropping at the same time as well. Like, I don't know, just unexplainable. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Magnets do not lose their magnetic qualities like that.
Right. They do over time, but not enough to drop off. And it's not like they were even holding. They were just on the fridge. They weren't holding up drawings or anything like that. so they had no weight bearing to them as well.
Oh my.
Yeah.
What did your mom say when she saw that?
They were a little freaked out. Both my mom and brother. And I'd have like things that they'd go missing, and I'd find them a few days later in a spot where I never put them and had looked before. You know what I mean? Like, unless somebody had a key to my apartment and was going in there, like knowing when I was leaving, I can't explain. And that whole magnet thing too, like that's a whole different thing.
I got to be honest. That would have been the perfect time to say, "Well, if you think that's crazy, Mom, did I tell you about the time I levitated?"
Yeah, I know, right?
That would have been a great time to bring.
You know what? I'm actually going to ask her if I ever did bring it up, because I don't believe I did, but like I said, I was so young. It happened so long ago. Like I said, I probably would have had been afraid of them giving me crap for like being on the aerial to get on the roof or something. So I probably wouldn't have said anything just based on that.
Hey, I'm right there with you. I know right now, if I'd have went in and that would have happened to me, my old man would have said, right, what you probably did was climbing up. You were climbing up, you fell down, you grabbed a hold of it as you were falling, and be like, well, no. And even, yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, my dad would have offered me a lifter. Do you know what a lifter is?
With his foot?
When you get a kick in the back of the ass.
Yeah.
A lifter.
Yeah.
So
I'll show you how to levitate. This is how we levitate where I came from.
Because I did get in trouble. I remember like climbing into the bedrooms from our balcony and from that aerial before, and I did get in trouble for that. So
yeah, I don't blame you for keeping it to yourself, though.
Right? Yeah. Just being honest, man.
Yep.
And then let me see. I went camping. This is like the first possible Bigfoot activity. I didn't have Bigfoot on the brain. We do have bears and large predators here, like cats, cougars. But one night we were camping at a place called Alice Lake, which is in Squamish, BC. It's like halfway to Whistler. I'm sure you guys have heard of Whistler, BC. Anyway, a lot of activity, which I've since found out, but we were in a tent one night, and I woke up probably about 3 a.m. Something had approached the tent. I could feel the weight of this thing like underneath us, and it brushed up against the tent. And to be honest, I was like, it sounded bipedal. I say that, but it really did. And I just chalked it up to a bear or something, and I just didn't want to mess with anything at 3 a.m. in a campsite. So I stayed in the tent and was able to fall back asleep. But the more I've heard about Squamish, Whistler, Pemberton area, pretty rich with visuals, with screams, with everything under the sun. People see a lot of orbs there as well. I mean, that what we saw could have been orbs, as far as I know. Like, it's not that fresh on the brain, but I do remember my parents actually waking me up to ask if I wanted to see a UFO. So, and that was back in Ontario. Getting back to that story, just when I mentioned the orb thing, I'm like, maybe that's what we saw.
Well, back to the camping thing. So you said you didn't have Bigfoot on the brain, but
no.
But wouldn't that be even more terrifying to think that was a bear?
I've had a few experiences with bears. Like, I've actually chased black bears away from my kids before. Grizzlies, a whole different story, and they do have grizzlies out there, but yeah, it kind of scary. I don't pack a gun. Like, we have different laws in Canada as well, which is part of the reason why I don't actually go out and research this topic. I don't know, for some reason I don't fear something that's 8 to 10 feet tall and 1,000 pounds, but grizzlies make me nervous. Black bears don't.
Well, I kind of agree with you there. Grizzly would make me nervous too. Like I said, I've been on a black bear hunt before, but grizzlies,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, I mean, they do say if a black bear does attack you, it plans on killing you and eating you. That's why they're attacking you. Where a grizzly might just be playing with his food. Like, they say to play dead, and it's probably good advice.
Right.
Cover your neck and go in a fetal position, right?
Yeah, well, one thing about black bears too is if they're in an area, like sometime where I used to stay at in Nevada, they would come down out of the Sierra Nevada mountains, and they would come into areas, like campground areas or places that is right at the wood line, and these animals would actually rather run away from you. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they don't want to attack you. Now, a grizzly, that's a different story.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be. I wouldn't want to take second place in a grizzly fight. That's for sure.
No, not at all. So yeah, I understand where you're coming from, though.
Did I tell you guys about the time I went gummy bear hunting? I mean,
yeah, down at the local gas station, right?
So when you got up in the morning, did you like look around to see if there were tracks to figure out, or was it something that would just so like you just want to put it out of your mind, you didn't even think about it?
It seemed like a one-off, and I didn't look for tracks. Like I said, I didn't have Bigfoot on the brain. This is going back 15 years. Like, I was always interested in the subject, but not as much then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There wasn't social media and podcasts, and I just started. I own a few books, and I've read quite a bit about them since, and that's why I bring it up now. It's like that could have been an encounter. Apparently there was one even shot in the town of Squamish back in the 70s. The police and military were involved, and
really?
Yeah.
I've never heard that. I haven't heard that story.
I heard that. I was listening to somebody had written into the Facts It How to Hunt guy, Steve, who's from Pemberton, one of the areas I'm talking about. And
wait, you mean Steve, the guy that I was accused of saying bad things about? So for the record, this is the first time Steve has ever been brought up on the podcast.
Yeah.
And I think Steve is a swell guy. So there you go.
I do too. I think his intentions are good. He comes across as abrasive. I've met people that have actually were neighbors with him and know him, and they said the guy you see on video is who he is. Like, he's not putting on a front. So he is a bit abrasive or whatever,
Yeah, and I've heard a show maybe once or twice people have sent to me, and I'm like, I have no problem with that. I mean, he's just reading emails and stuff.
Yeah, he's reading encounters. He's had a few himself.
Yeah.
And I think it's good. I mean, it's getting the topic out there, which is
absolutely
important, right? Like, nobody actually has come out and said these things truly exist and this is why you should avoid them, or like not bring your kids camping or whatever. Like, why there's no disclosure on them, I don't understand.
No, I don't. I don't either, especially with the stories that, we hear from people that I get emailed, and, we hear on other shows like Wes's show and Tony's show, and, I mean, all on and on, all the guys that do Shannon LeGros, all those guys that do shows. I mean, there's so much information out there. It's like, why?
It's the basic question of what are these things? Are they a remnant of like part of our chain, or are they Nephilim, or are they alien? Like that, people just want to know that basic answer. What are these things? Because there's enough encounters. Like, I think it's weird that people don't believe in them if they've listened to enough encounters. Like, even if a handful of people are telling the truth, that's a handful of people telling the truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it only takes one person telling the truth.
That's all it is. Yeah,
and it's real. So I don't understand.
People always talk about the Patty footage, like still probably the best evidence to this day. Like, that's been analyzed as much as the JFK assassination. Like, it's hard to dispute that video, as short as it is. Just the mechanical motion, the muscles, like when it's broken down and cleaned up, it's really hard to dispute that footage.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that. Somebody who I know, out of the blue, he sent me this thing. He said, you ought to offer a cash reward for the person with the first photographic evidence of Bigfoot, that Bigfoot's real.
He's dead.
And I said, I said, define definitive proof.
Right.
A really clear photo. And I go, well, we already have a really clear video and photo, and all everybody has done is try to dispute it. I go, I don't even know if, and I know there's people out there who, I've talked to people who have really good videos and really good photos, and they have no interest in putting it out there, because you're still going to have that percentage of people who dispute it no matter what.
Dispute it, or the fear of someone coming to your property and looking for these things. Like, I think farmers and farms have habituated some of these just based on the fact that they have livestock. They have feed for the livestock. They have dogs. They have dog kibble. Like, these things are they'll eat. They're not very picky, is what I'm getting at. They don't have like a palate like we do. I don't know. They don't need weapons to hunt. They don't need fire to stay warm. They don't need clothing. Like, we're talking a perfect specimen for our world. Like, are we descendants of this thing? That could be the other thing. Like, whatever they come up with it's gonna mess with science. It's gonna mess with something religious. And I think that's part of the reason there's a big secret, is they don't want to discredit something that's been established. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and I think I think we just went through that with the extraterrestrial thing. If you have to admit that, we have proof that there's spaceships from other worlds visiting our planet, and we are in control of some of them. Well, then that kind of blows a hole in a lot of people's belief systems.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and not saying that not saying that it should completely destroy your belief system, because I think if you have any understanding that you could still fit some of that stuff into what you believe. It doesn't change the real fundamental things. It just adds another interesting chapter to it.
I think that's what it comes down to, though. I think it's like they're keeping it. I don't even know who they is.
I've talked to the Howler many times, and he's like, you'd really be surprised who they is.
Right.
Yes. So after the camping, what? Did you start getting into like wanting
a little bit? There was again, we went camping at a place called Cultus Lake, which is a campground. It's pretty close to the Washington border. And there's been accounts at that lake for going back, spanning a couple hundred years, as far as I've heard. This is all pretty close to Harrison, where the term Sasquatch is from as well. But anyway, we were camping there one night and heard the classic woman being murdered scream coming across the lake at like 3-4 in the morning. It actually woke my kids up and scared them. And again, it's one of those things. It could have been a person yelling, but it was loud enough to wake everyone up, and it came from quite a distance, and it still had some oomph behind it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I always, growing up in the country and living in the country, I've had coyotes right outside the window killing something.
Yeah.
Where it sounds like a woman being murdered. I mean, there's really no other way to explain it, where I have jumped out of bed, thrown the window open. However, that's within 10 feet of the house. Coyotes don't, you can hear them yipping and howling and going crazy, but not 300 yards away to where it really, to where you don't know, okay, those are coyotes.
Right.
So I always, when I hear people say that, I'm like, well, could it be? But when it's at a distance, I've heard that, and there's no mistaking that they're coyotes, because they just don't have the same oomph.
I agree. I also hear coyotes almost nightly. There's quite a bit of them in my area. They like to eat cats and dogs, and they, just as the sun's going down, it's like roll call. They start blasting off, probably giving each other locations, and I'm quite familiar with coyotes. I've had interactions with coyotes as well. They don't really have a fear of people. They'll come around, especially when you have food.
Around here, they're more domesticated dog. There's more domesticated dog in them than there is coyote anymore.
Right. I think that happens here too, and there's also coy wolves as well.
Mm.
Yeah, we get a lot here in BC. It's got a lot of wildlife.
So you so you hear the cry while you're camping then again.
Yeah.
When are you going to stop camping?
We just went there for our 13th year in a row, and we booked for next year as well. So I'm not going to stop camping. I mean, it's a campsite. It's full of people. There is a lake there, and it's within a provincial park, I believe. But we always stay at the same campsite. I think there's several hundred camping lots in there. So no, I think we're going to camp there again at least next year. While the kids are still small, we do it for the kids.
Okay.
That's good. Okay. That's good. I'm glad you ain't going to get frightened off.
No. Just trying to think. So, do you want to hear one of my UFO sightings?
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
of course.
Yeah.
I was down. I live by a place called Deep Cove. It's part of the North Shore here. I'd actually gone and smoked a joint, and I saw something in the sky. I watched it, and it wasn't because I smoked a joint. I've smoked joints before, and I don't usually see things. But I watched this thing dart very sporadically, changing colors, and it went from like a helicopter hovering to shooting off at a speed that it's hard for your brain to even comprehend how fast this thing moved. And I actually did see it for a split second, like shoot off in a direction. I've seen that twice here actually.
Oh, in the same area, you've seen the
Same area, same. One was a couple weeks ago, to be honest, and one was a couple years ago, and very, very similar. How the second one I saw wasn't changing color or anything, but it was doing the sporadic, quick movements. No sound of propulsion, like, and then just takes off like that one. I didn't see a trace or anything. It went from. I sent you a video of a friend of mine, I think, as well, that had one caught on tape. It was like that one. It just it's there 1 second and then gone. Like did it portal out? Did it? I don't even know.
Now, do you think your friend would be okay for us to share that video on?
I'll ask, but I'm almost certain. Like, I've sent it to a bunch of people already. I think I did ask permission, but I'll verify that before. But I don't think it would come from me. So, yeah, I don't think it'd be an issue.
I mean, I'm looking at right now. This is above. I mean, this light is above a town, a big city.
Yeah, this
right?
is that was above East Vancouver, like right in Vancouver.
I mean, the light's there and gone.
Yeah.
Boom.
And
Wow.
that was like the one I saw a couple weeks ago. I was out front and was on my phone, and I had someone come and ask me directions. They were looking for a place on my street, and when I told them, I was watching them walk back to their car, and I caught it out of the corner of my eye and like narrowed in on it, and it just vanished.
I don't know. I'm looking at that video, and I mean, when you could see the perspective of where it was shot,
right?
The only thing I can think of is like when the Millennium Falcon goes to hyper speed, or
that's exactly
boom, it's gone.
Yeah, good Star Wars reference there. That's perfect.
Yeah, see, I knew you would like that. I knew you.
That's awesome.
It was
very much like that. Like, that's a good way to explain it to somebody.
Yeah, I wouldn't know any other way to explain it. I mean, it's just there, and it's flying away, and all of a sudden, gone. And that's exactly what it reminds me of.
And he's standing there dumbfounded, like, what did I just look at?
Well, the best part is that he's filming for like another 10 seconds.
Yeah.
It kind of shows the area, and you can, it's like, well, it's not a reflection. It's not a reflection. Yeah, that's wild. That is wild.
And I've had friends that know I'm interested in the subject come and tell me their stories. I'll just tell one quickly.
Yeah.
My friend was at Golden Ears. One of my coworkers, they had hiked in 7 miles from the parking lot. He's pretty comfortable. He's a hunter, fisherman, very comfortable. Had his girlfriend with them, and said the whole night they had their tent pelted with pine cones or stones. And he said something came up and pushed down on the tent. And he swears he won't even go back into the woods without a shotgun from now on. Not for camping when you're not at a campsite, like when you're kind of in the woods kind of thing. He said he won't go without his gun from now on.
Do you know how many times, Jason, how many times have we heard stories about something coming up and pushing on the tent?
I know it's been at least, just with our guests, at least 4 or 5 times. Yeah.
Well, you heard 2 accounts today because it happened to me.
Yeah.
Okay,
happened to this guy. So,
well, do you want to get into what has been going, what you've been doing? Because
sure, the local stuff.
Yeah, because I'm not, so you do a thing called that I think it's referred to as gifting, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I'm not 100% sold on what takes place at this and what is actually happening, but
I'm not either, but I'm telling you, things have happened and it's freaky. In fact,
so go ahead and tell us all about it, because it's fascinating.
I actually had something happen yesterday. I'll tell you that at the end.
Okay, all right.
But so I've been off work for a few months, just dealing with some medical stuff, and just itching to get out of the house. I was pretty laid up there for about 5-6 months, and I do toy photography as a hobby, and I have a spot where I always go, and I've hiked around this area. I sent you pictures. I found structures. Even last year, I found a perfect X off trail, a couple 100 yards. These trees were driven into the ground. It's not impossible for someone to do it. I don't know why they would. And so I photographed that. I thought that was strange. I found bird feathers set up in almost like a pattern, even on trails, which again, people could be doing this. I have no idea. I just don't understand why they would. But one time in this area, I was there taking photographs and just had the feeling come over me that I was being watched. My head was on a swivel. I trusted my gut, and it didn't seem friendly. Whatever was telling me to leave wanted me out of the area. And people talk about mind speak. I don't even know if that's what it was, or if it was just this overwhelming feeling came over me, like I was not wanted in the area at that one particular time. And I said in my mind, though, I'm going to pack up my stuff. I need a moment to do that. And I hightailed it out of there. I trust my gut. I go with that. Like I said, that feeling has never come over me before or since. And I'm not exactly I don't hunt or anything, but I kind of grew up in the woods, and I'm very comfortable out there. And I've never been scared out of an area before, until this day. So this is leading up to the. So I have this feeling that there's stuff out there, is kind of what I'm getting at. And from reading a few books and listening to podcasts, people have talked about gifting, and I didn't necessarily want to leave any food. I don't want these things to think that I'm worshiping them, or I don't even care to have a visual. I just wanted, the reason I started doing it was maybe to have a little communication opened. And I've had some strange things happen that I cannot explain. And it started with I left a little figurine and a white polished stone out one time. And I went and checked that about a week after, and the stone had gone missing, which was an inch. I think I've sent you photos of the area I call the gifting area.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, it's literally within an inch of the figurine, and the stone had disappeared. The figurine was still there. And so I replaced that stone, which, like, when I found that, I was like, oh my God, it's overwhelming. Like, what just happened? Like, I can't really see a woodland creature taking that, but not impossible, right? But I decided to press my luck, and I replaced it with a different stone, and then had nothing happen for a month or two. Like, and then I was on another hike, found some feathers, so I left a feather there, and I put a marble there as well. And then, so this all leads up to Saturday. Saturday, I wanted to go check. A week Saturday, I should say. I wanted to go check, and when I got there, the marble was sitting on the stump, which is about 5 feet away from the gifting area. So this marble had miraculously wound up on the stump, and so that freaked me out. And so when I grabbed the marble is when I had a call blast go off. And I mean, I was literally standing there with my phone in my hand. I took a picture of the marble before I grabbed it, and that's when the blast went off. And I was like, not really familiar with that sound, but I had the intuition or whatever to start filming. And ironically enough, I was taking a photo of a Bigfoot figure, which you guys have seen the video.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as I'm recording this before I take the picture with video, and another call blast goes off on the video and came from the same direction. It sounded a little different from the first one, but my head was on a swivel. Like, I was in such disbelief. First of all, like, just by when I touched the marble, that blast went off. That was shocking enough. But to actually have captured a call on video was pretty. It was almost like I confirmed, like, if that's what this is, it's confirmation that at least something out there is communicating or doing something. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I got a question. How big is that marble in the picture?
It's the large marbles. Like, you buy a bag of marbles and they had I think they're called conkers or something.
Yeah, it's like the shooter one.
Shooter marble.
It's a shooter, yeah. So that's one of those shooter marbles.
So that marble got taken from down on the ground and put up on a stump.
Yeah, like 5 feet away.
I mean, because you've sent me all the pictures, and I'm like, what on earth would take that? Nah, and look, I'm sure a squirrel could do it. I'm sure, but why?
But why exactly?
Yeah, I don't, like a raccoon. All those type of animals can pick something up, mess with it, put it on something. I can't believe they would take it, go and set it perfectly in the middle of a stump.
Yeah. On a stump where I'd taken 100 toy photographs. Like, I don't know. It was pretty shocking, to be perfectly honest. But okay. So after that video, I checked the gifting area, and now I see that the marble had been moved. The figurine was gone this time, and the feather was gone. The feather I can explain. Oh, I'm sorry. I just have to back up. Like I said, I always forget to tell this part of the story. When I showed up, it had that classic smell of wet dog skunk in the air as well. And I noted that when I was approaching the stump. Slowly that smell, I don't know if I was accustomed to it or whatever, but it smelled like it had dissipated. So that's something of note as well. Okay. Wow. And sorry. So I checked the gift area. Figurines gone now, which again, like even when the stone went missing, like why would something take the stone and not the figurine? Like something that would be of value, or it's a shiny like tchotchke, or you know what I mean? Like, and even finding the marble there and the figurine gone, like why wouldn't they have taken the marble as well? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a weird chess game that I don't understand the rules. But so that's a bit of the activity that's going on there. And that's within a mile of finding these structures and where I got scared out. When I got scared out that time too, sorry, I'm bouncing all over. I'm just remembering things. When I got to my car, it took me an hour to start the car and drive. Like I was shaken up. So that's something to note as well.
Well, I will tell everybody that, you know, when this episode comes out, we will put that video up of the howl, and I'll even put the picture up of the marble and stuff.
Right, and also,
but I just want to say it is so classic that as you put up the Bigfoot, like if I didn't know, like if we had been communicating for so long, I'd have been like, this is pretty funny. This is a funny TikTok video or something, because it's so like here's the Andre the Giant Bigfoot from the $6 Million Man, and then there's a big howl.
I know it's almost like I wish that I wasn't doing that at the time. But that's the reason I was there. Like, just happened. Like it's a coincidence. I know there's going to be people that are skeptical just based on that. Like I said to you guys, like I almost want just the video or the audio, but that's what you get. That's what was happening at the time, and
I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, I know it is ironic. I'm a 48-year-old like man child, and have a huge toy collection, and that's why I'm out there, to get a nice background for my pictures and stuff like that. So,
no, I think it's really cool. I mean, you got a lot of cool pictures up anyway on your Instagram page. There's a lot of cool.
Yeah, I was quite happy with the photo afterwards, to be honest with you. I love that show as a kid, that specific episode. I was a huge wrestling fan. And I think Jason even had the
Jason said he had that.
I have the original one. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've wanted one of those. I've seen them at toy shows, and they command about $500-600, and that's way too much bread for me.
So, well, Jason and I have determined we are going to get one.
Yeah, we're going to get one for the new studio. That's just one of the things we have to have.
100%. I agree.
Good.
Like a lot of people, the Patterson footage was interest. The show with Leonard Nimoy, like, definitely had an interest in the stuff, but like everyone says, you think they're all in the West Coast. So at the time, I never associated Bigfoot with being in the Midwest or whatever you want to call it, like Ontario, right above Michigan, where there's a ton of accounts, right above Ohio, where there's a ton of accounts.
That's the irony, though, is we all kind of grew up in the same era,
right?
And I had no idea as a 7-8-year-old the Minerva Monster the whole national news thing, that was going on, because we didn't get the Cleveland news. Our news came out of Toledo, and so I never knew that, and I never would even have thought for one second that Bigfoot was in Ohio back in the 70s. You said, you thought it was Pacific Northwest, and that was it, or the Himalayas.
Yeah, I mean, I even heard, and I listened to a podcast. It was, sorry if I'm plugging other podcasts on your show.
Oh my gosh!
But it's what's his name? Southern guy. He also reads stories that he's written about Sasquatch as well.
Oh, the Sheehan guy. I think I have his book. I have one.
Maybe. Anyway, he had someone on his show one time that was talking about my hometown and had a Bigfoot sighting there and a UFO sighting as well.
And that just validates all the stuff. It validates.
I mean, because even the timeline that this guy was talking about, the guy, it was a listener of his show. The guy was talking about the same timeline as when I lived there, like in the 70s, 80s. And when he mentioned my hometown, I was like, that's crazy. But I mean, there's more validation right there.
I would certainly be curious if you go back and ask your mom if you said anything about the levitating and the gorilla and the being frightened of gorillas.
Yeah.
And see if there's anything behind that maybe you didn't even remember. Maybe there was a real reason that you were scared of gorillas. I don't know if I'm
blocking it out or I definitely remember seeing a film. There was a reason behind it. And it wasn't King Kong, you know what I mean? That one's so vague. I do remember little bits about it, but I definitely I'd never look under my bed at night. I don't know. I wasn't a child that lived in fear either, but just something freaked me out.
Good grief. How could you have grown up living in fear? You got gorillas, levitate, UFOs, ghosts. I mean, what? Okay, so maybe you're scared of dragons. Okay, yeah. I'll give you that. I'll give you dragons. Okay.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I was probably more worried about getting in trouble for being on the aerial that I wouldn't have even said a word, but I am going to check in and see if I did mention anything about that.
Yeah, I'd be super curious to see if there's any feedback from your mom.
Right.
So
yeah.
Well, Jay, I'm just gonna tell you, I appreciate you coming on finally and sharing some of these.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm just going to cut you off for a second.
Oh.
So there is a follow-up on this as well.
Oh, geez. Okay.
All right. So that day I left a couple of jubes. They happened to be in my car from our camping trip, and went back and checked a few days later, and 2 of the jubes were gone. The third was still there, and it was underneath a stone. And even yesterday, I went and checked, and all three of the jubes, the two more that I left, plus the one under the stone was gone, and the stone was put back over where the jube was. Like I could see a raccoon taking it, a skunk, porcupine, whatever, but wouldn't have put the stone back over where the jube was. So that happened even yesterday. And I've left a few more there and took some more pictures. So something's happening there. If it's someone messing with me, they're doing a really good job.
I would say so.
Right? Like,
yeah.
But and also that call I sent that. I have a friend that's a bird photographer, because I thought maybe possibly owl. I listened to an hour of North American owl calls. They don't even come close. My friend has spent like 5,000 hours. He thinks anyway, in the woods by himself, and he's never heard a call like that. And he has photographed most of the birds, most of the owls in North America. He's like that. I've never heard that call. Even when I played it for my wife was like, she had chills. She's like, that sounds like a Sasquatch, like from people sending in their recordings or whatever. Like even my wife, we listen to podcasts, we watch shows, and she's not like as into this topic as I am, but she was the first person I sent it to because I was so freaked out when that happened. And she's like, that sounds to me legit. Like, she's no authority, but I'm just going to mention it.
Well, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say, usually if your wife has your back and agrees with you on something, it must be irrefutable.
Right? Absolutely. That is true. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I agree with you. Like, I can see stuff being taken by animals.
Right.
But I can't see something being returned.
No.
That's
no,
crazy.
It's all those things that are combined, and it's a series of little things that I can't. It's not explainable to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you, you are real close to selling me on the whole gifting thing. I'm just telling you.
Yeah,
I was never like a big, like, I just couldn't wrap my head around, like, although I did understand if we believe these things have a lot of human characteristics and traits and stuff, I can see where, this interaction could take place. But right. It just didn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, why? Well, what's it,
Yeah, I can't even tell you what prompted me to actually do it. Like I said, I don't want, and I made that intention clear as well, that I don't want to photograph these things. I don't want, like, it was just a way to open up communication if there is something there, which I believe there is. But I don't want to give the exact location. It's accessible to people. It's also on First Nation land. But I wouldn't want to give the exact location. I mean, if people saw the stump where I was taking the picture, they might be able to find exactly where it is. But Mount Seymour is a huge mountain, and good luck.
No kidding. Now, I just want to know: Have you left that Bigfoot figurine out there?
No, I wouldn't do that. Too precious to me.
Oh,
the marble. I've heard marbles before, and people have said they've left marbles, and then the marble will show up in their driveway or whatever. Like, that's crazy.
Oh no! I'm going to tell you right now. If that happened to me, that would be the last time.
Oh yeah, I don't. it's far enough away from where I live that I hope nothing like that ever happens. But I guess we'll deal with that if that ever happens. You know what I mean?
Well, I think your fear of gorillas would be justified then if they start
I'm
coming.
I'm no longer afraid of gorillas, by the way.
Well, like I started to say before, Jay, I appreciate you sharing all this stuff with me and finally coming on and sharing it with everybody else. And
Yeah.
I can't wait for people to, check out that little clip. I mean, and I hope they just take it for what it is and enjoy it. And, I hope we don't get a bunch of people trying to tell us it's the mating call of a three-toed noob or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
If they do, that's great.
Yeah, create a discussion about it.
Explain this to me.
Yeah,
exactly. Well, that's true.
That's true. And after hearing my story, like I said, if I wasn't able to tell this story and I just played that video, the people would think I'm hoaxing the whole thing. And
yeah, absolutely.
It's first of all, it's not in my nature to hoax anything, and but it's nice to have a platform where I can explain what was going on. I can't tell you why I gift. Like, it was something I'd never thought in a million years that anything would happen. And then I had a couple of strange things happen, and it's continuing to happen. Like, this is up until yesterday, I've had activity go on there. Like, people have also said you should set up a camera or whatever. Well, I think these things, I think they're onto it. And when I initially did this, I almost said a prayer there that I don't want to validate. I want to validate for myself, and that's it. Like, I don't want to take this really public. Like, I'll tell the story, but that's as far as it goes, right?
Right.
And it seems to me that anytime somebody does, have you ever heard of anybody catching anything that seems real legit on a game camera anyway? It seems like it just drives them away. And if you're sincere about what you're trying to do, then that's not going to be an angle you want to try to take.
It's one of the things that people have been told to put up to discourage these things coming around their property, is to put up cameras. Like, so they're on this. Like I'm 100% believer. So when I'm telling these stories, I'm like, they're onto it. Like, they're not a dumb wood ape. Like,
right.
There's something far more intelligent going on here. And I don't know. Hopefully in my lifetime it'll be explained, but if not, I'm not going to go crazy researching this thing. Like, I do find it a fascinating topic, but like, I don't know. I just like an answer like everyone else. What are these things?
Well, that's what we're here for, Jay. We're trying to get as many people's opinions and get people to tell their story, and eventually we will get those answers we seek.
Yeah. And the more people tell their stories, like, there's connections.
Yes, exactly.
I've heard lots of stories where something very similar, exactly the same happens. Like, why does that happen? Why does that occur? Like, it opens more questions than gives you answers. That's the whole pickle of a dilly going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, exactly. All right, Jay. Well, hey, we appreciate you coming on and sharing. And like I said, I can't wait for people to hear about your experiences and then get a chance to see that video. I think if nothing else, it proves Bigfoot has a sense of humor.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, it's going to put a smile on people's faces, that's for sure.
I enjoyed it. It was the best.
Well, I got to be honest. I would have loved to have seen a camera on your face when you said, "Are you kidding?" Like,
yeah, like like I said, that was the second call, and I was half expecting it, but I wasn't expecting him to to catch anything on camera, and it I can't explain it. I've had friends that can't explain it. Like, I don't know, it could have been a critter. Like, I want to believe it was something known. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be proved wrong.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'm curious to see people's reaction and to keep getting updates on this story. So
yeah, for sure. Yep. And I'll continue to send photographs. Like I said, I don't really want to, like, the jubes were just by chance. They happened to be in my car, and I've had things happen with them like I've had with the objects. So I don't think leaving a jube is like something that's showing that I'm worshiping these things, or like the caloric, the calories that these things would need. A couple of jubes is nothing. It might put their blood sugars up a little bit, but
well, let's ruin them like the rest of us are all
right. Let's rot their teeth.
All right, Jay. Well, we appreciate you hanging out with us, and like I said, we're looking forward to hearing more.
Yep.
Yeah,
thank
no
you.
problem. I'll keep you updated. Thanks for doing your show, guys. Especially in the last year, just having medical, like, any distraction, like these podcasts. Like, I love the midweek howl. You guys are funny. Like, I appreciate it. I really do.
So, trust me. Sometimes we get done and we're like, did we do anything that was funny? And I don't know. It's like that's just like a phone call between me and the howler. That's what it's like. Except
yeah, and you get that from it. It's like it's not scripted. It's just.
It wouldn't do any good for us to script it anyway, because we literally talk about it and hit record and then are so far off what we were just talking about. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
So, but we're just glad that we do get a lot of good feedback from that. There's some really diehard fans, and we appreciate that they enjoy. Just what we're trying to do for people.
I hope everyone's leaving a 5-star review for you guys. Like,
I hope so.
I have.
Great.
Well, we
appreciate that, Jay.
No, it's true, man. Yeah, don't change. Keep it going the way you're doing it. Like, it's a good podcast.
We appreciate that. We definitely do, because
the judge's story. By the way, I tell people that, and that's any friend that I've recommended the show, I'm like, listen to that story to begin with. Like, when you hear, like, from a judge, you're expecting somebody that holds a higher credential or higher, like, validation is, and when a judge can come on and tell his story about a dog man, and have no fear of it, like that right there, it just makes it real for people. You know what I mean? Like,
and that's exactly why he just wanted to do it, because I think he wanted to get control of the fear, because this had been something for so long, and anybody that's a fan of the show and has listened to some of the other shows we've been on, and like we were just on Strange Familiars, and he told the story about the wind story about his daughter.
Oh, I listened to that. Yeah.
And I mean, I've sat with him on 3 different occasions as he's told that story, and he is genuinely choked up. I mean, we had kids the same age, and so our kids, we were going through that stuff together to a certain degree. I wasn't in the house with him, but to see him, like, I mean, he's a guy I've known since we were 6, and to see how choked up and emotional he gets telling that story, it's like, wow.
Well, yeah, it definitely hits close to home when you're talking about your kids and stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
yeah, I would go to prison for any one of my kids, and they know it. So
yeah, definitely. Now he's the kind of parent that you would want to come in and say, "Hey, by the way, Dad, I was just levitating."
Right.
Like, okay, wait a second.
He wouldn't get a lifter.
No, he wouldn't give you
No, you wouldn't get a lifter from him.
Well, we appreciate all the kind words, Jay. Trust me, we do. It makes the work that we put into this, even though sometimes it doesn't sound like we put any work into it.
No, we put a lot of work into it. All right.
But all the other dudes and guys and girls that do shows like this, that we appreciate everything they do too, because
absolutely,
it really does bring a lot of validity to the subject, and like I said, hopefully if we can help some people, that's just one person every episode. If it helps somebody feel better about whatever they heard, that's what's important.
It makes it all worthwhile.
Exactly.
It really does.
And I've dipped a toe into probably almost every subject there is. So
so it's something for everyone. It's like a paranormal smorgasbord this episode.
Exactly. The buffet is open.
Hey, Jason, there's your title for this week's episode.
Oh yeah, the buffet is open. Smorgasbord, paranormal smorgasbord. Yes, that's a good one actually.
Well, genius, you got to be open to when genius happens.
You got that right.
Okay, Jay. Well, we'll talk. We'll keep in touch. Thank you so much.
Good. Yeah,
thank you. Have a good one.
Take it easy, guys. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the From the Shadows podcast. Until next time, never shy away from the darkness or what may be lurking in the shadows. We are out.
Go!